Hello guys, I hope you all are doing good. I am Vishali Khan and we are discussing the VLSI technology. In that we are discussing the metallization. I hope you all have seen the previous videos where we have already discussed about its definition, its applications and the formation of metallic thin films with the help of various materials like the polysilicon, the silicide and the aluminium, copper, cobalt, tantalum, tungsten and titanium and many more. I hope now you have seen those videos and now we are moving forward and we are going to understand the characteristics of the metallic thin films. So we are going to understand how we can have various measurements on this metallic thin films, like we can measure the thickness, stress, reflectivity and the sheet resistance. Today we are going to focus upon the thickness measurement. We can use the TEM and the SEM. Okay, so these both are the electron microscopes. Okay, so after that I can use the profilometer, 4-point probe and XRF and the acoustic measurements also. So all of these things are giving me how thick is my metallic layer. Okay, so TEM and SEM are both the electron microscopes. As I have already told you, it is giving me the width of the layer, or it is giving me the cross section measurements. Okay, so if I am using the transverse electromagnetic measurements, then it will be giving me very thin film measurements as well. Around few hundred angstrom thickness I can measure with the help of transverse electromagnet. If I am using SEM, the film over 1000 angstrom can be measured. So now there is a question that why if I am using SEM, the photo is always black and white in color. Because if I have the SEM, the intensity of the secondary electron emissions would be used for the formation of the photos. So we are using some strong and the weak signals, and if I have the photo is imaged with the help of bright and dim lights, which is just represented with the help of black and the white colors. This SEM photo can be painted afterwards also, then it can be analyzed in a colored photograph, but initially we are getting the black and white photo only with the help of SEM. Now coming to the profilometer. Profilometer is giving me the thicker film measurements, which is around thicker greater than the 1000 angstrom. Here it is used for the patterned edge process, and we are using the prior measurements also. So in the patterned edge process, for the prior measurements I will be using the profilometer. Okay, here I will be having a stylus probe which will be sensing and it will be recording the microscopic surface profile. Okay, I am going to show you the picture. So this is the picture of the stylus profilometer. This is the stylus. Here my substrate would be there. This is the film that I want to measure the thickness of. Okay, so this is my stage. Okay, now the stylus will be upward towards the film and it will be giving me the width of the film. The width of the substrate I must already know. Okay, so now I can know the exact width of film plus substrate. If I know the width of substrate, I can subtract it, and this is how I can get the width of the film with the help of stylus profilometer. Now after that I can use the 4-point probe also. It also measures the sheet resistance. Okay, it measures the voltage and the current. So now if I have voltage and current, I can easily measure the resistance. So it is used to measure the sheet resistance. It is commonly used to monitor the metal film thickness by assuming the resistivity of the metal film is constant all over the wafer surface, and I know if I know the resistivity is constant, R is equal to rho L upon A, and this is how I can measure the area or the length. Okay, so now coming to the acoustic measurements. So acoustic measurement is a new technique and it is directly measuring the opaque thin film thickness. If I have the transparent film, acoustic measurements won't be used. It is a non-contact process, that is it won't be contaminating my wafer and it won't be contaminating my film as well. So it is a better technique to measure the thickness, so it can be used for the production wafer as well. So here we have the laser shots on the thin film surface. Photo detector will be used, which will be measuring the reflected light intensity. We will be having the 0.1 picosecond laser pulse. heat the spot up to 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. Now here whenever we have the heated spot, the thermal expansion will be caused, and if I have the thermal expansion due to the heat, so if I'm supplying laser light, because of the laser light I will be having some heat generated. If I have the heat generated, there will be thermal expansion of the film. The thermal expansion will be causing a sound wave. The sound wave propagates in the film and it reflects at the interface of the different material. Whenever we have the film, like let's suppose we have aluminium, copper and silicon film over the silicon substrate. So whenever we have the aluminium, copper, silicon film, this sound wave will be moving inside. When it encounters the silicon substrate, it will reflect. So it propagates in the film and reflects at the interface of the different materials. The echo causes reflectivity change, and when it reaches the thin film surface, so this reflectivity we are going to measure. Acoustic wave echoes back and forth in the film, and the film thickness can be calculated with this formula. D is equal to Vs OT upon 2. Vs is the speed of sound. Okay, now OT is the time between the reflectivity peaks, okay, that we can measure. The decay rate of the echo is related to the film density. If I have the higher dense film, so the decay rate would be higher. Multi-layer film thickness can also be measured with the help of this process. Now coming to the pictorial representation, you can see here we have the pump laser. Okay, so this is my reflection detector placed over here. This is the laser that we are sending it here, and this is the reflected light that we have. Okay, now when the laser is incident on this surface, now sound energy will be produced. This sound wave is reflecting back and forth inside this titanium nitride layer. So this is my echoing acoustic wave, and this is giving me the depth of this layer with the help of this formula Vs into OT upon 2. Okay, so now you can see we can measure the echo as well. So you can see the time for the first echo is around 30. So this is how I can measure the time, and this is giving me the OT. So first echo and the second echo is the difference between both of them is giving me the OT. So 50 minus 30 will be 20. So for this scenario, my OT will be 20. Again, the third echo will be coming at the 80. So 80 minus 50 will be 30. So this is how I can calculate my OT in between the first and second echo and the second and third echo as well, and according to that I can calculate my depth. Okay, so the OT is calculated generally in between the first and the second echo only, because it is more accurate. So D is equal to Vs into OT upon 2. Sound velocity in the titanium nitride film is around 95 angstrom per picosecond, that we know. OT is equal to 25.8 picosecond, and this is how we calculate the depth is equal to 1225 angstrom. Now coming to the uniformity. The uniformity is actually measurement of the non-uniformity. We measure how non-uniform my wafer is, and this is how I measure the uniformity. So now we measure the sheet resistance and the reflectivity, which are routinely measured during the process development and for the process maintenance as well. It can be calculated by measuring at the multiple locations of the wafer. Okay, so you can see we can have various locations. So you can see this is my first location, second location, third location, fourth location, 5 location. In all of these points I am measuring all of the parameters to calculate the non-uniformity. If all of the parameters are different at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 location, I can say we have more of non-uniformity and less of uniformity. Here also if I measure the uniformity over more number of points, so here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So at all of these locations I am measuring all of the parameters. So in this scenario I am getting better measurement of uniformity. In this scenario, this is the further scenario. Here you can see we have a lot of points, and a lot of points I am measuring the non-uniformity, which will be improving my calculations of the uniformity. So it is most commonly used non-uniform definition is 49.3 standard deviation definition, Now here we have clearly defined the non-uniformity. For the same set of data, different definition can cause the different results. So now we should have a clear understanding about the definition of the non-uniformity. If I don't know what is non-uniformity, then I can use the different data. Different definition can cause different results as well. So to avoid that, I must actually know what is the actual definition of the non-uniformity. And here 5-point and 9-point probes are commonly used in the production method. So you can see this is the 5-point method and this is the 9-point method. Now coming to the stress. It is caused by mismatching between the film and the substrate. Okay, so we have either compressive stress or we can have tensile stress. If I have higher and higher compressive stress, it can cause the formation of hillocks. Okay, I'm going to show you the picture of the hillock formation, and here I can use the short metallic wires between the different layers to avoid this formation of the hillocks. If I have high stress, which is tensile stress, it can cause the cracks. Okay, so you can see if I have compressive stress, the metal layer is having this compressive type of stress, there will be formation of hillocks of metals. Okay, if I have tensile stress, we will be having the formation of the cracks. Now coming to the favorable stress. So aluminium has higher thermal expansion rate than the silicon. I have already told you aluminium is having the lower melting point as well. It is having the higher thermal expansion, which means on providing heat it is expanding. So alpha of aluminium is 23.6 into 10 raised to power minus 6 per Kelvin. Whereas alpha of silicon is 2.6 into 10 raised to power minus 6 per Kelvin. So you can see alpha of aluminium is very high as compared to alpha of the silicon, around 11% or around I can say 11.5% higher than the alpha of silicon. It favors tensile stress at the room temperature, and whenever I have tensile stress, I can say I will be having the formation of the cracks. Stress become less tensile when the wafer is heated up later on. Okay, so I can use the metal annealing process, which is around at 450 degrees Celsius, and I can do the dielectric deposition to avoid this tensile stress also at the 400 degrees Celsius. Now the question arises that why does silicon oxide film favor compressive stress at room temperature? Okay, silicon oxide is having lower thermal expansion, that we know. Alpha of silicon oxide is 0.5 into 10 raised to power minus 6 per Kelvin than the silicon. Okay, and this is the reason the silicon oxide will be compressing than the silicon. If it has tensile stress at room temperature, it will become more tensile when the wafer is heated up in the later process, because alpha will be further reduced if I am increasing the temperature, and this is how I will be having more and more tensile stress if I am increasing the temperature. If I am giving heat, in the case of silicon dioxide, I will be having more and more of tensile stress, which is outward in nature. So more and more possibility of crack formation will be there. Now coming to the reflectivity. Reflectivity indicates the drift of the process. Okay, reflectivity in a simple manner, it represents how much I have the reflective power with the metallic film. Okay, a function of film grain is my reflectivity, and also it is the function of surface smoothness. Okay, if my surface is more and more smooth, I will be having higher and higher reflectivity. If I have larger grain size, which means lower and lower reflectivity. Smoother metal surface, which means higher reflectivity. Now if I want to measure the reflectivity, it is a easy, quick and non-destructive process, frequently performed in the semiconductor fabrication lab, because it is too easy. In every fabrication we at least measure the reflectivity. Now coming to the sheet resistance, we measure sheet resistance with the help of 4-point probe method. I have already told you, with the help of 4-point probe we can measure the voltage and we can measure the current. If I am measuring current and voltage both, I know the Ohm's law, V is equal to IR, and according to that, if I know V, I know I can easily measure the R. This is how I am measuring the sheet resistance with the help of 4-point probe. It is actually an indirect method in which I am measuring the voltage and the current to measure the sheet resistance. So it is widely used to determine the film thickness Assuming resistivity is same on the wafer, it is faster and cheaper than the profilometer, SEM, and also the acoustic measurement. Okay, so I am going to show you the picture also. So sheet resistance is defined as RS is equal to theta upon T. So by measuring RS, one can calculate the resistivity if film thickness T is known. Okay, so if I know the thickness in the first calculation or the first measurement, I have already told you how I can measure the thickness. Now I know what is the thickness, I know what is the resistance, so easily I can measure the resistivity rho or theta. So if T and R is known, I can easily measure the resistivity. So you can see it here. If this is my conductor, here if theta is the resistivity, I is the current flowing here, L is the length, A is the area, R is theta L upon A, where R is resistance and theta is actually, this theta is represented as rho or resistivity. So L is length, A is area of line of cross section. So now if I want to understand the sheet resistance, okay, that was the resistance when I had the one dimensional flow of the current. So apply current and measure voltage. So resistance will be V upon I, which will be equal to theta L upon WT. Okay, W is the width, T is the thickness, L is the length. So for a square sheet, L will be equal to W, so R will be equal to theta upon T. So I can easily measure the theta if RS and T are known. So units will be ohm per square meter. Okay, so now if I know the resistance, I can calculate various parameters of the metal thin film. So you can see with the help of calculation of the sheet resistance of different films, I can measure that if I have two same films or the two different films. If I have two same metallic films, their sheet resistance will be same. If I have two different metal films, their sheet resistance has to be different. Okay, so for two conducting line patterns from the same metal thin films with the same length to width ratio, are their resistance are the same? So yes, and this is the parameter that we are using to calculate that we have same metal thin film or we have different metal thin film. So 4-point probe is a commonly used tool for the sheet resistance calculation. Current is applied between two pins and voltage is measured between two other pins. So if I have the current I between P1 and P4, you can see here we have P1 and P4 and the current is applied at P1 and P4 probes. So now at P2 and P3 I will be having the voltmeter which will be calculating the voltage. So if current is applied between P1 and P3, then V is the voltage between R2 and R4. Both configuration are used in the measurement of the current. So these are the references. These are the very important books, and if you want to further analyze this topic, you can refer these books. These are amazing books, and I hope you understood this topic in a really good manner. If you have any doubt, you can put the doubt in the comment and I will be trying to resolve your doubt as soon as possible. I hope you like this session. If you like it, please push the like button, subscribe to the channel and also do share it with your friends. Thank you so much.